I'm the world's leading real estate trainer today, and I teach people how to buy and sell houses without using their money or credit all over North America. And because I personally teach my events, I hear the same things over and over everywhere I go, no matter what city I'm in. People are hating more and more of what they do. I'm not in control of my life, and I have to work 70 hours a week, whether I like it or not. To take your life back and build your own business is really what we are here to do.
When it comes to Ron LeGrand, there's nobody else that has had more of an impact on our real estate investing business. Ron himself has invested in more than 3,000 single-family homes himself. So he knows what he's doing. He's been through all the failures and the mistakes to teach us and other students.
Our folks come in, they start wherever they like. I like to teach people how to be a transaction engineer. There's all kinds of ways to make money in real estate. And if you only see one way, then you're walking through the business with blinders on and usually walking over the dollars to get to the dimes. Real estate is a vehicle to generate cash, not to bury cash.
It's amazing, just 2 years ago when I was working a day job at a restaurant and quitting that to go do the real estate full time, I've made more money in one transaction than I ever made in 1 year working at a restaurant.
My goal is to get people out of a job and into freedom by taking control of their own financial destiny. It's all about freeing up your time so you can enjoy life.
Because of Ron LeGrand, we were able to triple our income and go from 6 figures a year to 7 figures a year within that first year of meeting Ron.
The common objection, I don't have time, I don't have money, it's not for me. Ron's had 18-year-old kids go through this program, make $30,000. It works for anybody.
We have a community, and that's what it is. It's a community. It's a great big family. So we're not going to run you in a seminar and love you and leave you in the morning. We're going to be there when you get out of the seminar, and we expect this relationship to keep going for a lot of years into the future. Once you enter Planet Ron, as I call it, you're in it for life.
Well, hello there. Welcome aboard. I'm Ron LeGrand, and I just happen to have my acquisitionist sitting beside me here. His name is Adel. If John, can you put the camera? There you go. All right. He's the guy responsible for my entire real estate business, and he does everything there is to do in that regard. And we buy all the houses, everything we show you tonight, we've been doing, and I'm going to continue to doing. I'm showing you a few examples out of the pile that we have. So, how many hours a week do you work, Adel?
5, 10.
Yeah.
It gets more and more time you ask me.
That's about right. 5 hours. And he's a full-time acquisitionist. Now he's a mentor to you, and he's also running a lot of calls and doing a lot of things for global publishing as well.
Yes, sir.
In between. All right. I just wanted you to meet him. He's gonna come back here on the TikTok camera, right?
I'll be on, camera. TikTok's here. If you're on TikTok, get in the chat, ask questions. I'll be monitoring that all night.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Speaking of questions, you can ask them while we're going by putting them up there in the column. John, tell them what they need to do that.
Yeah, so you guys, hopefully you registered, you're watching on StreamYard. There's a chat section there. You put a Q in front of your question that helps us just know that's a question for Ron, not just general chat going on in the chat section.
And go ahead.
So just put a Q in front of your question, and I'll mark that question, and Ron will take questions a little bit later, and he'll answer everything you've got. So just type it right there in the chat.
And if you are not where you can do that, I'm going to give you, if I give it to you now, ask@ronlegrand.com, ask@ronlegrand.com. Question in there, and we'll get you an answer very, very quickly. You'd be surprised how fast I answer those questions and get them back to you. I answered some just before I came here today. All right. So I don't know. I'm guessing we're going to be here about an hour and a half on subject matter, but then you're asking questions, and when we get through tonight, we'll determine how many questions you ask. And don't forget, though, you can put them on ask@ronlegrand.com so that you do get them answered. I'll answer them for you tomorrow. Tonight, we're going to go into the terms business and what that means and why it's important to you. I'm going to show you some wholesale deals we did here just to make sure you know that we do all this stuff, but tonight's focus is on the terms, which is my favorite way to buy houses and the fastest way you're going to get rich in real estate. Take notes, take screenshots. Yeah, I'm absolutely going to put up some screenshots you're going to want to capture. You can, I guess you can photo with you on your phone, but where you can do screenshots, just do it. That's how I go to a seminar. I just put up there and cuts down on the writing. All right. So you all should have gotten an email with my property information sheet in it and with some scripts in it. And if you did not get that email, what should they do, John?
I'll put that link here in the chat. But if you registered, there's that email. But I will find that link. If you give me just a couple minutes, everybody, I'll put it in the chat section for you guys.
All right. I don't know if your mic was on, John, but I think they heard you. Okay.
Okay, hold on. My bad. I muted myself. So yeah, if you didn't, you should have seen that in when you registered for tonight's event. You should have seen that in your email. If you didn't, I will type that link for that in the chat here, and you should be able to click on that and then get to those.
Okay, good. All right, we're going to get going. Are you ready to take notes? And then what are you going to do with them after you take them? Take them home and put them on the pile from the last seminar? Is that what you're going to do with them? Okay. Listen, I'm going to give you enough information tonight to get out there and start doing some real estate. And I'm going to give you some help as well, if you want it. And there's nothing stopping you from doing it, as I'm about to show you, because I can tell you right now, don't take money or credit. Once you get that thoroughly in your head, you'll see, I mean, what the heck am I waiting on? We have a lot of companies that we work with, some we own, but mostly companies that we work with. So we've been a lot of years putting this system together so you don't have to go through all the grief that I went through for you. Fastest way to make money in real estate today, the absolute fastest, is actually wholesaling a house. The one that'll create the most wealth, though, is doing the terms deals, and you'll see all the income streams in them shortly. In fact, I'm going to show you a few of the houses that we wholesaled here in a minute. I'm here tonight to show you how to build residual income. Residual income, that means it comes in every month, whether you're working or not. You do the job once, and it keeps coming in, unlike anything in the wholesale or rehab and retail. I want you to be able to build a business that is working for you without you having to get out of bed in the morning. And, you know, I'm an example of that. We're going to operate a business without raising a bunch of money, without banks. I have no use for banks at all, except, you know, that's where the money is, in the bank, but I don't need them. Large overhead. You do not have a large overhead. You have a very small overhead in this business. In fact, it's impressing how small the overhead is in this real estate business compared to other brick and mortar businesses out there. I tell people all the time, my last restaurant I sold it. That restaurant, I had to gross $100,000 a month just to break even. And some months I didn't gross $100,000, so I had to write a check. No such thing in this business. No risk is what I'd like to set you up with. I got a little bit of voice problem tonight, but I think I can make it through. So there's your address again to ask questions. You want to write that one down? Because I don't believe there's any way you're going to go through this presentation tonight and not have questions. I'm going to be offering you a chance to get some training at the end, a starter kit to get some training in the end and learn all about dreams, and you decide whether you want it. And I've never ever even thought about offering it at the price you're going to be able to get it tonight. A little bit about me. I've been around forever. I've been around so long they're starting to call me Moses. Some call me the Godfather. Some call me other things. I've been at this. I just realized I'm past my 43rd. I'm in my 44th year in this business right now. I do residential and commercial. I've had multiple different businesses along the way, and I train the trainers. Most of the people you see on the web today that are training came through me, and some of them I helped build their training business as well after they get their real estate nailed down. And you have the option of doing that if you want to. Some people, you know, people love to teach. Man, it's nothing more fun than teaching what you know very well. I've spoken with the biggest and the best in this country, all over multiple different types of stages of all sizes, including this guy. You might recognize him. Okay. Yep. He was at an event we had one time and spoke for an hour. He was an hour late. Spoke for an hour. Didn't say much of anything, but, he did help us fill the room with folks to see the Donald. I didn't start on top. I'll tell you that right now. I started at the bottom. Took me a long time to get the hang of this business because I didn't have all the tools that you have available to you today. I didn't have the support. I didn't have mentors in the business back then. And, very, very limited training that amounted to anything. And I, like you, have probably been to several different trainings that were wasting my time. I hear that all the time, and I'm with you. I've been there. I didn't start that way. I started with my wife needing a wash machine. I was broke, running a service station, working my butt off. I was the mechanic as well as the manager of the station. So everything fell upon me. Anyway, I wasn't making any money. Barely getting by. Came home one day and my wife said, we need a new wash machine. And we'd already been married 17 years at that time, 17 years, 4 children. And I told her, there's no way we can afford a new wash machine because we couldn't afford it. Anyway, I went to bed. Both of us went to bed mad, actually, because come on. I tried to sleep. I couldn't sleep. Stayed there all night thinking to myself, what a loser you are. Can't even buy your wife a wash machine to wash your filthy clothes with after you've already been married for 17 years. And I'm not kidding you when I tell you, I remember that night like it was yesterday. And I just laid there all night and I said to myself, I'm not going to live like this. I'm not going to spend the rest of my life pinching pennies and doing the things that I really don't want to do, but I think I had to do. I started looking. Didn't know what I was looking for, but I started looking. And then I saw an ad said, come learn how to buy real estate with no money or credit. I knew that was a hoax. That couldn't have been true. It had to be a scam, even back then in 1982. But I went. Something compelled me to go. And I even had to miss J.R. Ewing on Dallas on TV to go. That was a big deal to me, believe me. He was my hero. So I went to that 2-hour preview, and they put me into a 2-day seminar about 2 weeks later. I didn't have the money. I had to borrow it, but I got in there. Something just told me, you got to get in there. And of course, that was a turning point for me, big one. And that 2-day seminar changed my life, my family's life, thousands and thousands of lives that I've touched since, all because I have made that simple decision to go to a seminar. You see, you never know when your turning point is. You never know when the thing that you think is an insignificant thing is actually a big thing. Look at all the people that are in real estate because I attended that seminar today. So, that kind of thing keeps me going. I've pretty much everything in the industry that now I've pretty much had a hand in building. You ain't going around 44 years without contributing something to the business. All right, so we just celebrated our 60th wedding anniversary last September. So now when Beverly wants a truck, she gets a truck. When she wants a washing machine, she don't even need to ask me. Just order it. All right, there's several ways you're going to make money in real estate. I'm going to cover a couple of them tonight. That's all. And in order for you to grab this stuff, I'm going to have to change your thinking or do my best at it. Because I'm in front of a lot of people all throughout the year, and the same old people come to me, and their reason is to put more cash flow in their life. They come from all walks of life, from surgeons all the way down to the unemployed. Everybody needs more cash flow. Everybody needs a better retirement. And so I can provide them both, but we got to change your thinking about real estate because most of the stuff you're probably thinking right now just is not true. And you learn this stuff from people who have no idea what they're talking about. And once you learn the reality of the real estate, you find it's nowhere near as complicated as you might be thinking right now. Well, I not only got to change your thinking about real estate, if you'll give me a chance, but I also have got to change your thinking about how much money you can make in it and how much you're worthy of receiving. Because people come with a low opinion of how much they can. Been all my life working, swapping hours for dollars. I never made more than blank. What makes you think I can make more? I don't think you can make more. I know you can make more if you decide it's time for you. Only when the student is ready can the teacher appear. Wholesaling has always been a fast way to get money. In fact, that's exactly what most people get into the business for, either wholesaling or rehabbing and retailing. And we wholesale here as well. Very, very simple. It's so simple, anybody can wholesale a house. Now let's see how much money you need. There's one we wholesaled. I hope that's not your dream house by any imagination. Now look at the numbers. I want you to look at these very closely. In fact, take a picture of this if you want. All right. This house was worth about $175 renovated. And I'm here in Jacksonville, Florida. That's a cheap house for here as well. We figured it'd need about $40,000 to $50,000 worth of repairs on it. I had no intentions of doing any repairs. $50,000 worth of repairs is probably what it would have cost us, give or take. So we put it under contract for 48. We sold it for 85. It took all of 9 days to get in and get out. We did not buy the house. We did not spend any money except the $10 deposit. We did not have, I don't even need a lawyer to assign a contract to. What we did was put it under contract with the seller and then advertise that contract. So the buyer was a rehabber, bought the contract, and then closed on the house. And that's the way it's done pretty much all over the country. Don't do that, though, until you check with your attorney and make sure that it's still okay to assign a contract. And then if it isn't, come back and I'll show you how to do it anyway. All right. There's 3 or 4 states that have outlawed assigning a contract. By the way, they haven't outlawed wholesaling. They've outlawed assigning a contract. We can wholesale houses without assigning the contract. So anyway, that's a good example. $37,000 for doing what? Getting the contract, selling the contract. Look at this one. 52 grand net. It was worth 230 fixed. Take at least 50 to fix it, I think. So we sold it for 112,000, leaving the new buyer plenty of room to rehab it and make a bunch of money in it. Now here's what it looked like. That might give you a hint why we bought it so cheap. And by the way, all of these come from for sale by owners. There's none of these come out of MLS. You're working in the MLS today, I'm suggesting you're probably wasting your time, or you're going to grossly overpay for these houses, because we have a whole society full of greater fools out there that'll pay way too much because they've had poor training and they're getting the lessons the hard way. I'd rather not buy a house than pay too much for it. One of the things I want to teach you. This one made $27,000 on that one, took 35 days. Made only 15 on that one, took 16 days. Look at here, we're down to the bottom now. I don't really want to do any kind of deal unless we can get $20,000 in the first 30 to 60 days out of that deal. So, you know, that last 2 here are below our standards, but on the other hand, you're not going to get $52,000 out of all of them that you do as well. The average on these things is about $20,000 or so across the country. Now, $27,000 for what? Getting a contract signed, putting an ad, and let them beat your doors down to get it. Remember, when we sell these to investors, they're buying a business opportunity. This is not a hard thing to sell. They're buying a way to make some money. But tonight I want to talk about the pretty house business, because that's where the really big bucks are. And I'll prove it to you. We call them the modern day money machine. These are beautiful homes needing no repairs. Some come with a mortgage and some don't already on them. We're never going to use credit. We never, ever, ever are going to use our credit on Planet Ron, folks. We don't guarantee debt. That's the biggest mistake you can make. And you write that down, and sooner or later, it's going to hit you right between the eyes. Now I know what the heck he's talking about. Guaranteeing debt means you are building your empire on a house of cards. You're a slave to the lender. Some things that can go wrong to take you out. And I've seen many, many, many people go out of business because they guaranteed debt. And, you know, kind of like in 08, for example, we didn't have any choice down here in Florida. Our prices dropped down 40,000 or 40% on these houses. Think about all those folks that had that guaranteed debt out there. Now they owe more on the houses than what they're worth. Don't put yourself in that position. We are going to operate with non-recourse debt, which means we're not guaranteeing any debt. We're going to buy a lot of debt. We're going to get a lot of debt. And you'll see how we do that in just a minute, but we're not personally guaranteeing it. So make sure that I hope you're listening, and I hope you pay attention, because the minute you start guaranteeing debt, you're heading downward. And there's only so much debt you're going to guarantee before they cut you off anyway. You risk your credit, you risk your assets, and you might risk your marriage. Not worth doing it just to buy a house. Plenty of houses you can buy without going to the bank and getting a loan. And not allowed on Planet Ron. So let's look at a business where you don't need to borrow any money and you don't need to guarantee any debt to the seller's lender or to the seller. No guarantees, no terms, no deals. There's 3 kinds of terms. One, I can lease the house from the seller with the option to buy. And then I could sandwich lease it, what we call it, or put a tenant buyer in the house, and they'll have the option to buy. Now, make sure that their option to buy is for more than your option to buy to the seller. The difference is going to be your profit. Owner financing. That's what I do mostly, owner financing. I buy them on wraparound mortgages or deeds of trust. Some people buy them subject to. It's a discussion for a later time. That's called getting the deed. So I'm either giving a mortgage back to the seller or I'm just taking over a debt that's already on the property, whatever the case may dictate. That's the terms business right there. So our first payday is a big non-refundable option deposit from the tenant buyer. Now, I won't put a tenant buyer in a house that doesn't give me at least 5% of the sales price as a non-refundable option deposit that is applicable toward their down payment. So it's not a security deposit, and it's measured in thousands, not hundreds. Okay, it's an option deposit. So when they get ready to go buy, then they get credit for that right toward their down payment. And here's here's the reason you want to be in the terms business. Okay, not just one paycheck; it's multiple streams of income for years and years and years. Number one, I get that upfront deposit, which is thousands. And landlords, listen up. You got tenants in houses. I don't know why. It's time for you to convert to tenant buyers, in this old guy's opinion, because tenant buyers will give you a lot of money up front and they take care of the repairs. That's a condition of their option. So I don't do repairs on these houses. They get in there and they're responsible for 100% of it. I get debt pay down. I get appreciation. A lot of people got rich just because they own properties the last 2 or 3 years when they went up like a rocket. And I also get the depreciation, which people totally ignore. The depreciation is nothing to ignore. It's Uncle Sam helping you pay for the property. Forfeited down payments. I mean, I hesitate to say this sometime, but most of my tenant buyers don't ever buy. It has nothing to do with me. I didn't do anything to them. I keep my promises. But I don't know, you get in the house, they're tired of it, they don't like the neighbors, or all the other reasons. Think about it: health reasons, job reasons, got to transfer, numerous reasons why they just don't buy. I think a lot of it's just they get tired of the house and they want to do something else. But that's okay with me, because if they don't buy, they move and they forfeit their deposit. That's simple, clearly spelled out up front with an attorney involved. And then you get the back end debt paid, or back end profit when they do cash you out, if they ever do. And I'm going to give you examples of that on my house here coming up shortly. One of my houses. Money now, money monthly, money later. We call them the golden geese because they just keep on laying them golden eggs. And I love the golden geese. Unlike wholesales and rehabs, where the poor goose has got to die because you sold the house. And sometimes you're going to want to let the goose die. I get it. Look, everybody wants cash. I understand. And you should build your cash in your account. But if you need money to buy groceries, you probably want to do the quick deals like wholesaling. And some of these terms deals are quick as well because of that big front end deposit. That front end deposit on my pretty houses was probably as much as most rehabbers make rehabbing their house, and all that work, taking all that time, taking all that risk. My deposit that I get in a few days is sometimes bigger than their total profit on those rehab houses. I've got rehabbed about 1,000 houses, friends. I know exactly what it is, and I teach it. But when you compare it to the other ways you got to make money, it's at the bottom of the pile. And certainly not have the grief. All right, let's do a comparison here. I want to shoot that one. You get a big check, whether it's wholesale, retail, or terms. But notice that my yeses start dropping off there. I don't get any cash flow when I'm flipping the junker. No appreciation, no depreciation, no debt reduction, no tax cuts, none of that. Pay maximum taxes. You pay about half of that amount when you had the house for a year or more. You don't need very much time to do this business. 90% of the work, and I mean 90% of the work, is done by either someone else or some other company. Because we're going to outsource everything today. We spent a lot of years building this outsourcing team for you so that you can use them and cut down on your work. And look, I don't want to make you do more labor. I want you to do less labor. I'll tell you right now that the less I do, the more I make is one that I live by and have for a long, long time. Your job is to make decisions. And if you want that book, incidentally, it's on Amazon. The less I do, the more I make. By me. So there's two types of houses you're going to run across. There's the free and clear houses, and then there's houses with debt. Do you know what about 1/3 of the houses in this country are free and clear? So you got to learn to deal with both of them because there's money in both of them. So here I'm going to use my example. Now I've had this house 11 years. And I picked this house specifically to show you what it's worth to you by not selling everything you get your hands on. Look, if I agree to buy for cash, I sell for cash. If I buy on terms, I sell on terms, meaning I lease option on terms. Right? So I retain the ownership of the terms deals. I get rid of the ones that are cash because I don't want to leave my money or private lender's money in the house. And I don't want to renovate the house and let somebody lease option it from me so I can renovate it later. Right? So wholesale deals, obviously, we're turning them quickly. That's the whole purpose of them, unless you want to rehab them. Either way, I don't look at terms business that way. Okay? I don't want to sell the houses I get on terms. I want to keep them and turn them into golden geese, and may they live forever. So here's one that I bought specifically to emphasize this point to you. I hope you are wide awake and get this, because this could be a life changer for you. It may change everything you do. All right, I bought this house, beautiful home, 3,300 square feet in a gorgeous neighborhood right up the street from my own home, gated with a gate, not a person, but a gate. It's just in 3-year-old houses, what they were when I got this one. And this couple lived in this house for 3 years. They built it new, and then he had to move to St. Louis. And I paid $351 because that's what the seller owed on it. The seller told us from the very beginning he'd sell for what he owes. And friends, you're going to get a lot of those, especially in today's market with the low equity properties. I'll come back to that in a minute. So I sat down there. We got a contract. 7 days later, I owned the house. They agreed to move in 2 weeks, and they did. And left the thing perfectly clean, ready to show. Didn't even have to clean the windows. There was a $1,925 payment on it, and he knew very well he couldn't pay for that here and then move out to St. Louis and have another place to live out there. So I took over his $351,000 loan. The seller didn't ask for any money, and I gave him what he asked for. No money, period. I did pay the closing costs because I wanted to buy the house. I could have leased it with an option to buy without any cost whatsoever, but I wanted to own the house. And you're going to see why here in just a minute. So I sold it on the market on a lease purchase, raised the price to $395, and they gave me a $50,000 non-refundable option deposit. Now, before you ask, come on, who's going to give you 50 grand? People that have $400,000 houses, that want or have $400,000 or more. Think about this. If somebody wanted to buy this house and it was over the FHA limit, they'd probably need 20% down. Okay. He put more down than he would need on FHA. In fact, his loan was a VA loan. He didn't put anything down in the beginning to buy it. So when I put it on the market, I didn't name the $50,000 price, and I didn't name the $2,500 monthly rent. Might better get that in your head now. I never named the down payment. I never named the monthly rent. We asked the buyer what they can afford. We asked the seller what they'll take. We ask questions. We don't make offers. We ask questions. You'll see that coming up here. I put them in there for 2 years. That's what I always do. And I told them up front, listen, if you can't buy it in 2 years, don't worry about it. I just let you rent it and buy it sometime later, and I'll still give you credit for your deposit. And anyway, I tried to talk them into staying, and they said, no, we're already moved. So I let them go. And then I put it back on the market. And then my executive assistant, Tish, asked me if they could move into it. And I said, yeah, okay. I didn't get my 50 grand, but they've been in it ever since. Okay. Taking care of the house, paying down the debt. So very little money, just closing costs, no credit, no risk, no guaranteed debt, small repairs. In fact, there wasn't any repairs on this one. No banks, no realtors, and no short sales, and none of that complicated crap that scares people. You don't have to do any of that here. We just bought the house. Now, let's say you were looking for a place to live, my friends. I just showed you how to buy it. If you want to go find a nice house like that, anybody live in that house, just take over the debt. Just look for the seller that'll let you do that. I mean, if you're going to buy one to live in, you can't go down and pick out a house that's perfect for you, but I'm sure there's plenty of them out there. You can find one that you're thrilled to live in. And like I said, all the responsibility for the repairs passes to my buyer, my tenant buyer, after 30 days. I give him 30 days. Now, think about my houses. This house for 3 years old. It ain't going to need anything in 30 days, for crying out loud. So if it does, I'm happy to pay for it. But anyway, when they get in there, I made it very clear. Listen, when you buy this house, you're going to have to pay for these repairs. So I might as well get practiced up right now so you're prepared for that. And, I say it lightheartedly, but just the same. I want you landlords to ask yourselves, how much money would I put to the bottom line if I didn't have to go out and do any of these repairs on these houses? And they don't call us to do them. We make it clear up front and we put it in writing. The attorney points it out to them. No, they do the repairs. It's a condition of their option. By the way, their option, don't confuse that with a security deposit now, because your lawyers will. It's not security. It's an option deposit. It has nothing to do with a security deposit. But Ron, why don't they just go to the bank? Because they can't. About 70% of the people who would like to buy a home cannot go qualify to buy the home. Now, I pull this off of the web. 35% of them, 35% of them get turned down when they go apply for a loan. And I can assure you there's that many or more that won't go apply because they know they're going to get turned down. That's a big market we got. We're catering to the people who don't have good credit or have some other problem that keeps them from buying. You keep that in your head now. Don't confuse this with these buyers that have good credit and they want to go get a loan. Let the realtors and the builders have them. I don't want them, okay? I want the people that can't go get a loan. I can get a lot more money out of this house than just putting it on the market and selling it and cashing out of it, especially with all those expenses involved in doing that you haven't yet experienced if you haven't retailed and sold a house for cash yet. Anything that they need fixed can be fixed in time. I mean, I got a company that'll raise your credit score about 100 points over 6 or 7 months, for crying out loud. The credit ain't the problem. Not enough down might be the problem, but not in my case. They put $50,000 down. That's enough to buy any house with that they would want. So that wasn't an issue. But then there's a debt ratio problem or can't prove income problem or whatever the problem is. They got more than enough time to fix it. Why most of them don't, I can't tell you. All right. Ron, do you have to put that 50 grand in escrow? No, that 50 grand went into my bank account. There is no escrow, right? Don't confuse this with a realtor. A realtor's got to bring that check to closing, okay? Because they're holding it. I don't have to bring that check to closing because I'm keeping it. No matter what the buyer does, I'm keeping it. If they buy, it goes just credited toward their down payment. If they bail, they don't get it back and they know it right up front. So they don't even ask for it back. So, that clear understanding up front weeds off a lot of issues in the back end. And I've learned to not only make sure they understand everything, but to document it. And that's why we want to close with attorneys. All right. Nope, I can do whatever I want to do with it. I want to go on a vacation with it, I can go. If I want to, buy something with it, I can. I don't do drugs. Maybe I could use it for drugs, but I don't use them. So that's out of the question. And you know that I'm 79 years old and I never smoked a weed in my whole life. It's true. I did eat a brownie one time that was laced, and I understand why people like that marijuana stuff, but but I'm glad I didn't go down that path. I really am. So Ron, how often will you find a tenant buyer with 50 grand? Well, the answer is not often. Because if you want to find a tenant buyer with 50 grand, you got to get a higher price house where they're willing to put up 50 grand. And I'll say it again. If they're above the FHA limit, they're going to put up 20%. 20% on my $400,000 house was 80 grand. All right. So they didn't have enough to put the down payment down if they were going to go to the bank and get the loan. So anyway, I'm going to get what they want to give me above 5%. By asking them what's the most you can put down. And our 24-hour answering service asks them that before you even get the lead. The deposit is not taxable until your tenant moves out or buys. Check with your CPA on that one because some of them have a different opinion on that simply because it's non-refundable. That's why they might say it's taxable. So how many of those checks you need? Be honest. How many of those checks you need? Listen, I'm going to get a minimum of 20. I'm going to get a minimum of 20. Higher price house, the bigger I'm going to go. If I'm going to sell $1 million house, I ain't letting anybody have the keys with less than $100,000. Period. Now, suppose you got in it and didn't have to give the seller any money, or I don't know, suppose you gave him 25 grand. Okay. I know I'm going to get 100, but I ain't going to get the keys. and they're going to have more than that to put down if they go to the bank or any place else to finance it on those higher end houses. So, don't think for a minute that nobody out there looking for a house has got any money. That's just not the case. And we automatically screen them out. Now, there's your income streams right there. If you want to shoot a shot of that, it's a little easier to read. Save the page. Get all of those things when you get to do the terms deal. None of them you get when you do the cash deals. Just to check. But Ron, what if they don't buy within 2 years? Well, the answer is we have a party, and then we go find somebody else to put in the house and do it again. First one bails. I gotta tell you guys, I got at least 2 houses that I've collected 6 non-refundable option deposits on. 6 people moved in and decided to move out. Not because of me. I do everything I can to help them if they ask for it. But I've got more money out of those houses on deposits than I paid for the houses. That's the business. They forfeit it if they move. If they don't want to move, I simply keep collecting the rent. I've had a tenant go as far as 11 years, had the option to buy, expired 9 years earlier. 11 years that I can think of. I got one, lived there 11 years and then moved. And then I got another one, had a 2-year term on it that I can think of. She lived there 5 years and then asked me if she could still buy the house. Hey, I was shocked. It turns out she got an inheritance. Then I made a deal with her. In fact, she bought the house a lot less than I optioned it to her several years earlier, and I just gave it to her. Yeah, you want to wake up in the morning and be proud of this business. Made a goose live forever. All right, this is a big one. Why would a seller take monthly payments? Okay, well, let me answer that one. I know that's high on your brain right now. So, first of all, we're only dealing with FSBOs. Don't forget that. You aren't doing these terms deals with realtors. Some sellers want a quick sale. Al and I bought one like that not too long ago. She had moved to Vegas and her husband was sick. She hung around here a while to have him treated. And then they went out to the Vegas and already bought a house before we even met them. So they're sitting there in an almost empty house waiting to go to Vegas. Quick sale. They wanted a quick sale. Gave them a quick sale. I bought it with owner financing. 5 1/4 house. Bought it for $440. Nothing down out of her mouth. Nothing down. 5-year balloon on the balance. So the thing you gotta not do is to try and make sense of everything. And don't ask why. All right. When you keep asking why, you're not going to buy anything. And remember, it's not you. You're trying to justify why you're doing it. It's them. I don't try to justify it anymore. I quit doing that at least 40 years ago. I don't care why. What and when's all I care about and how. So that house needed nothing. So there's no reason she couldn't have put it on the market. But she knew if a realtor was listing it, that she'd have several months worth of payments to make on it. And they were almost $3,000 a month. So I took all of that off her back. I took the stress relief off her back. She had no closing costs. I paid them. She paid no commission on the house. She was happy to give up the distance between 440 and 525 just to get out of the house. And I'm buying it as is. And in this case, that house needed very little. In fact, I don't think it needed anything. But sometimes the seller can't or won't do what it takes to get it on the market, like you would if you enlist it with a realtor. Sometimes it's got little issues, like maybe it smells like cat urine or something like that. That don't bother me. I can fix those little things very quickly and very inexpensively, where the seller can't or won't. And they can get a higher price from me. Any seller that I buy a house from on terms is going to make a lot more money than they would make with any other investor trying to buy it for cash. No, nobody's going to pay what I pay if they're buying it for cash. So, like that one I showed you a minute ago, cost $351 is only worth $385. Seller was happy to give up that equity to get it sold. And if they'd have sold it with a realtor, my goodness, there wouldn't have been much left anyway by the time they covered all those costs. They didn't have any costs when I bought it. I paid their closing costs for them, which is a general rule. If their seller's not getting any money, which in my case is most of the time, then I'm going to pay the closing cost. I'm not going to ask them to come to closing with a check. They don't like realtors, or Realtors don't like them because the house is not ready to sell and they can't get it ready to sell. And sometimes you'll find an elderly couple that just don't want to get a lump sum because they don't want their kids to have a lump sum. So believe it or not, and I can understand that because I would be one of them. Now look at this. Listen closely. About 75% of the time, when you are discussing terms with a seller, they have an underlying mortgage that they have a payment on, which is the biggest reason people are happy to sell on terms. But most of them don't even know that they can. I don't give the seller any money. When I buy a house, I'm taking over the debt most of the time. The seller don't have any money coming, like the one I just showed you. So I picked it's a great example. I just took over their debt on a wraparound mortgage. My land trust owes them the same amount that they owe the bank, and my debt to them goes down the same dollar per dollar as the bank debt goes down. So it's not like I'm making the seller any payments. In fact, I don't make the seller payments, period, unless their house is free and clear. So I just send the payment to them. I love it because there's all kinds of ways that I can work the seller financing stuff and for the benefit of me, which I can't do with any bank loan. So I'm usually just taking over the debt, sometimes give them a little bit of money to move on. Most of the time, they're not getting a dime. They're just happy to get rid of the debt or whatever is motivating them. I hope you got that. If you didn't get that, put a note up there and let me know. We call it seller financing, but the seller, well, I guess the seller is financing it, but they're not collecting money. I make my payments directly to the bank, and that's not an option with me. I'm not making any seller a payment that they're going to turn right around and give to the bank. I learned my lesson on that one. I'm sending it directly to the bank, and they're going to sign a little statement at closing, giving me permission to do that. So how many sellers do I need to call to get a deal, Ron? The answer is, I don't know. Depends on your source of leads and your training. I'll train you on how to handle that phone, and I'll give you the scripts. In fact, you should have the scripts, and don't throw those things away. Those are $1 million scripts, and I mean that sincerely. Tested for years and years. They work. So how much training have you have? Because if you haven't had the training, you're probably going to mess up the call right on that end. When you talk to the seller, you're going to destroy your own deal and don't even realize how you're doing it. I got a list of 14 mistakes people make on the telephone. And the two biggest things you got to focus on in this business is generating leads and handling the closing call. Almost all the rest of it is done for you. So first thing is, this is our property information sheet. When a lead comes in, if it comes in by phone, it's going to our 24-hour answering service. If it comes in on our webpage, then you're going to get it. And on your webpage, you'll get most of these questions answered. But once you get this filled out, then you're going to pick up the phone. You're going to call the seller. And I'm going to give you the scripts to do that in just a second. But I want you to take a look at, I've already given you the scripts. We'll go over them in just a second. Take a look at A and B down there in the middle. A says, will you sell for what you owe? Okay. That's a very important question. If and only if what they're asking is close to what they owe. If it is, most of them would gladly give it away, okay, and say yes. But now, let's say you're trying to buy a house for $300 and they only owe $200 on it, and you ask them that question. Well, that makes you sound foolish and loses all the trust that they had with you. You're asking me to sell it for $200 when I'm asking for $300. Get off my telephone and go away. You must have been to some seminar somewhere. So you got to use some common sense. All right. My example, they owed $351. It was only worth $285, and the realtor couldn't get it sold for that. You might say that's a lot of equity. That's nothing. At the time they sold it, paid all the costs, there wouldn't be hardly anything left. And even then, how many payments would they have to make before they'd even get a sale, if they got a sale? So it was a big deal for the seller to get out of the house as quick as they could. Now, B is a pre-screening question before you even go any further. By the way, your virtual assistants will fill these out for you. We have the virtual assistants, okay? And they're going to ask these questions. And B says, well, listen, sometimes we buy in cash, and sometimes we just make your payments till you're paid off in the future. Obviously, the cash offer is going to be way less than the terms offers. Would you consider other options other than all cash? Then it's yes or it's no. If it's yes, we call it a yes lead. If it's no, we call it a no lead. It don't matter because we're going to call them all back, because no don't mean no. No means that they didn't quite understand what you asked them, so they said no. That's human nature, I guess. Sorry, there they are blown up. I've incorporated them into your scripts when you get them on the phone. This is what the VA asks them for you. And they're inexpensive virtual assistants. If you're going to get very far in the business, you're going to need virtual assistants because they're taking care of all the grunt work for you. We'll get you information on those later. I'm going to give you 7 ways in this course, this term system, to generate leads. And many of them are free for you to get. Some of them cost a little bit of money. Like if you want to put out signs, that's a very little bit of money. You want to put signs on your car, it's a very little bit of money. Some of them cost more money because you're hiring somebody else to generate these leads and before you even get them, so you don't have to pay more. So you get to choose. I've got about 35 different ways to generate leads from sellers, but I don't want to overload you anyway on this system. You got more than you need right in this system. And we'll get you information on the VA service. Well, for a couple $100 a month, you can literally have most of the stuff you need done and replace as an employee. Now you want to write this one down. Take a picture of this. Pat Live is your 24-hour answering service. They're really great. They're students over in Tallahassee area from the college. And it's only a couple $100 a month for them to answer all your incoming calls, no matter what they are, from buyers and sellers. Get that, patlive.com/Ron LeGrand, and go check it out for yourself. They've already got any scripting you need done, buyers and sellers. They know exactly what you need. And just tell them you're coming through me, and they'll know exactly where to place you then. This is a must-have. Frankly, if you don't get signed up with Pat Live, that means you're going to be answering all these calls all hours of the day and night, and that's going to last maybe a week, and you're going to get tired of that. So that's one of the first things you want to get set up just as soon as you're ready to take calls from sellers. Means you don't have to waste hours on the telephone. The less I do, the more I make. Friends, I live by that. All right. So once the virtual assistant fills out the property information sheet, then they're sent to you for you to call. Make that short, quick 2 to 3 minute call. It's all you're going to make, because most of them you're not going to do business with. It might not surprise you to know that most sellers want all cash and they want full price. Can you imagine that? The nerve of these people. And what are you going to want when you get ready to sell? However, a bunch of them don't need all cash and don't need retail price. What percentage of them, I don't know, because I can't tell you what percentage until you tell me where you're going to get the list from, because some lists are better than other lists. And trust me, we got a system where you can pick your list, and I'll get to that in a minute here, but you're going to love the way we pick our list. Now you just you get them on the phone and you read the appropriate script to them and let them answer for you, thus making you an offer. If you remember that A, is we sell for what you owe. Now, if they say no, you check no. That doesn't mean you don't read that bottom paragraph, because sometimes the asking price and the loan amount is pretty close. And if they say no, you might assume, well, that means that they got to have all that money, and just not true. Okay, they might need enough money just to move. So you ask them the second one down there. How much do you want for your equity, and if I take over your debt? Now here's your closing script. This is a big one. Multi-million-dollar script right here. It'll make you money, save you a lot of time if you just listen and you implement what we ask you to do. Now you're looking at the top half of it here, but I want you to just read this first paragraph. It says, "Hey John, this is Ron calling you about the house you discussed with my assistant yesterday. You got a minute?" Now, what you don't do is say, "Hey, is this John Smith?" Instant telemarketer. No. "Hey, John." If the property information sheet says that John Smith owns the house and a man answers, "It's John." All right. And then you're going to immediately tell them who you are. "Ron called about the house." Now all of a sudden, boom, you got their attention. And then depending on what your PI sheet says, listen, the information I got here says that you're not interested in any other options other than all cash. Is that correct? He says, "Well, yeah." I say, "Well, so you don't want to listen to other options?" If he insists on it, fine, done. Conversation over. Nothing I can do for him. Okay? But now if he says, "Well, yeah, I listen to other options," you go on right down in your script, and there's all the reasons down on. You've got the scripts. I think you should be looking at this on your own. Go down, all the reasons right down the line there. why he might reconsider. And by the time you get down to the bottom of that script, you got a definite yes or no, I don't want it, I got cash, or yeah, I'll listen to other options. All right. So that script is giving him other options. That has been improved a dozen times, and I'm telling you, it works all over the country, and it's the reason that we get deals by not spending a lot of time, wasting time, pre-screening dead leads to begin with. So this is what you're going to ask them until you replace yourself, which you can easily do, somebody else to make these calls, and screen them out quick. So the object is you want to get as many property information sheets coming across your desk every week as you possibly can, because without them, you don't have a business. You got nobody to call. We don't make offers. $1 million script, I believe, is coming up here. I don't know. Anyway, here's what it says. If you get a positive result down at the bottom of that closing script, now you're going to go to the $1 million script, which is only 3 questions. All right. Well, John, listen, it says here that you want 350 for the house. Is that the least you could take? John's going to come down a little. All right. So you're telling me if I don't pay you that, I shouldn't buy the house? And then you'll know very quickly where his head is. Now, don't ask him more than twice, because I don't want to over negotiate on the house that I haven't even seen before, which the seller knows I haven't seen. All right. You just turn them off. Second question, get this one now, because this is the biggie. John, we usually buy nothing with nothing down. Okay. Shut up. Wait for answer. You're going to be absolutely flabbergasted when you learn about half of them say, okay, all right, and shut up and move to the third question. But if they don't say, they say, no, I need some money. Okay, what would you have in mind? What's the least you could take? And you work that on down. Sometimes they need moving money. All right. Adel had one yesterday. They said they need a little bit of money. I said, okay, ask them how much is a little bit of money first, and let them make you an offer. And the last question is, if it's got a loan on it underneath, your question is, I assume you're okay with me making your payments till we're paid off? And shut up, wait for the answer. If they say, okay, you just got, you don't have any balloon. You got the whole term. You can keep making payments till the loan, underlying loan is paid off. And of course, if it's free and clear, it's a different line. What's the least you could take per month? It's totally negotiable, and that gives you a chance to get a much lower payment. So anyway, the scripts do the work for you, and it don't take much to pick up the phone and get a yes or a no answer. And then I even have an appointment script, for crying out loud. Okay. When you get a yes answer, now you want to make an appointment. You don't want to do it without the script, because there's some very important points within that appointment script that'll keep you from chasing your rainbows, chasing your tail, really. John, Ron, I hate making phone calls. It scared me to death. Well, you know, I wonder how hard it would be for you to get somebody else to make these calls for you, right? For peanuts. And you're going to give them the same scripts. All they got to do is learn to read the script and report the results back to you. And of course, you got to test them, and you got to make sure they're doing it the way you want them to do it before you turn them loose. But I mean, like peanuts, you're going to pay them. A little part-time income for anybody that wants to talk to people and is not afraid of people and wants to get on the phone. I mean, they ain't likely going to spend hours and hours at it. They're only going to get so many leads a week. It's only going to take them so many minutes to make these calls. And I give them $1,000 for every house I buy on top of that. Would you make 5 to 10 calls a week, averaging 3 minutes if you were making 20 grand? How many calls would you make to get 20 grand? How many hours do you work now for 20 grand? Now all you got to do is go to the house when the appointment is made and walk around and look at it. And remember, you're a welcome guest, not an unwanted pest. They invited you to come to their house. They need you way more than you need them. The agreements, man, I don't have many of those because I've got one to buy and one to sell, and one to lease purchase from the seller, and one to put a tenant buyer in the house. They're all in this system. Every one of those are in this system with filled out blanks for you to use. And these aren't the 5-page agreements. Realtors do all that kind of stuff. We don't need an agreement that heavy. And remember that realtors are doing everything to try to cover all the angles that could come up on a house when you're only half of them you're even apply to your situation. Now let's suppose you want to replace an $80,000 job. For some, that's giving you some. For some, that's not near enough. I get it. I hope it's not near enough, because that'll give you the inspiration you need to get out here and get working. All right, let's suppose you want to replace it. Now, incidentally, folks, I don't suggest to anybody that you go quitting your job until you got money coming in that you can depend on that will replace your job. Quitting your job and just starting a business is not a smart thing to do because you got no income. And when you got no income, it creates a lot of problems within a marriage. It could even go as far as costing your marriage because you don't have this real estate thing working for you yet. Don't you dare quit your job until you see this thing bringing in money. You hear that, ladies? Don't let him. That's 4 deals, 4 $20,000 front end profits a year. Come on, give me a break. Been many, many, many months. I've done more than 4 a month. Once I change your thinking, I'm going to move your mindset up to higher priced properties as well, because you know that the more money you wallow in, the more sticks to you. So, $1 million house where some of you live, that's no big deal. You know, where some of you live, that's our $300,000 house. Which is fine. I'd rather deal in the higher price stuff, all right? And that means I can get a bigger down payment. And I can get in still. You'll be surprised how many $1 million houses you can get into without giving the seller a big down payment. You'll be shocked to you. I tell you right now, till you get out here in the field, you're not going to see this stuff is really reality. The bank would want 200 grand down on $1 million house. I don't need it. I'll take 100. Bank needs good credit. I don't care if you have good credit or not, just soon you have bad credit. It just means you're going to be in my house longer. One of these a year. If you do one of these larger houses a year, come on, there's your job replacement right there. More dollars you wallow in, the more stick to you. So Ron, why are these houses so easy to sell? The answer is terms. You're selling them on terms. You're selling them on a lease purchase. That means there's no banks involved. And that means that all they got to do is convince you are the loan committee. You know, I'm definitely going to teach you how to do that as well. And that's all in the system, how to sell these houses. House on terms, 10 times easier to sell than one that they got qualified for. We got a slow market in this country right now. Slow for buyers, not slow for tenant buyers. Okay, people are still wanting to buy houses, but they're trying to wait for the rates to come down. Well, they can rent from me until the rates come down and go get a loan whenever they want to get it, which is a good selling point when you're putting people in these houses, incidentally. Make it easy to buy, and it becomes easy to sell. You are the committee. No cost to sell terms. Listen to this. When you're selling a house with terms, all you need is one ad with the key unique selling propositions in it, like lease purchase, like no qualifying, like easy terms or something like that. Watch what happens when you put that on a couple of sites like Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist. Okay, those unique selling propositions are going to drive those calls into you. And now it's just a matter of selecting the right one based on how much they can put down and how much they can pay per month. It's not about finding sellers, it's about picking the one you like out of the batch. Again, 70% of the people looking to buy a house cannot qualify at the bank. Keep that in your head. That's a huge market where you live. In fact, if you don't believe me, go to your newspaper or the site that has your newspaper. Look anywhere you can find for sale by owner ads and see how many of them say lease option in them. You got the whole market to yourself, most likely. So it's not about getting out of them. It's about getting them in them. And you get out of them very quickly and they don't have to go to the bank. So here's how it works. It's all automated for you. Okay. If I'm doing something that triggers them to make a phone call, that phone call is going to go to Pat Live. Pat Live's got about 6 questions to ask them, and then they send them directly to you. Then you send them to your virtual assistant to call them until they get them on the phone to fill out the property information sheet. And they do that every day, all day. They're very good at it. That comes back to you. Now, what are you doing while all of this is going on? Nothing. Everybody's working for you. You're not doing anything. Okay. Now, when you get the PI sheet, you take a few minutes and you call them. Now, that's going to determine whether you're going to go to their house or not. And most of them you're not. I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, most of them are worthless leads, but you got to go through that in any business to get to the people who want to do business with you. So call goes to Pat Live 24 hours. And then information comes to you by text and email, or one of the both. Then you send it to your VA. VA makes call, PI sheet comes at you. You're beginning to see a system here. Then you and your VA calls the ones with money. Now, I got a lead. If I'm selling houses, I'm only going to call the ones with money to give them a lockbox code. If I'm talking to a seller, I'm going to go call them and use my script and determine whether I'm going to make an appointment. So Pat, I was going to take both calls from both buyers and sellers. The question they ask them is, are you calling to buy or sell? And that'll pop up the right screen for them to ask the right questions. Totally systemized, ladies and gentlemen, totally systemized. And I'll tell you something that you may not know, that when our Pat Lives are calling these folks, they can't get more than about half of them to pick up the phone after 3 tries. 3 tries. That's the world we live in. And you wonder why people who list their own houses have a hard time selling them. They won't even pick up the phone. So then you're going to text them, and you get many replies off of texting them if you can't get them to pick up the telephone. Yes, I have a script to call the buyers, and it's a darn good one. But you don't need to call very many buyers. So I got this house, and I'm ready to sell it. Put a lockbox on it. Okay, which I get at Home Depot or Lowe's. And now I run the ad and getting them to contact me. And a lot of them are calling you are a waste of your time. In this case, it's a waste of anybody's time. So when they call Pat Live and you're trying to sell a, I don't know, $400,000 house, and they got all of $10,000 to put down, that's up to you whether you want to give them a lockbox code or not. You know, I would tell them I'm going to need a lot more than that down. So there's no need for them to get in the house. Yeah, I'll put you on my buyer's list, and you call me when you're ready to buy. Maybe you can raise some more money if you want that house. Or if you want me to, I'll put you on our buyer's list, and I'll call you something you could get into for $10,000, but it won't be nearly as nice as this one. In other words, they got a no money, they get a no key. Okay, no reason to give them a key to look at a house you already know they're not going to buy. There's a lot of traffic through the house, and I promise you, on this lease option thing, you ain't going to have but 2 or 3 people tops to go through the house. Of course, one of them is going to want it. It has enough money to satisfy you. And the house stays on the market until you literally, they literally meet the attorney, usually virtually, because you've already accepted them. I got that whole process of selling in the system for you, piece by piece. And you don't show houses. We don't need to show houses. They show themselves. What kind of people are going to be looking at our nice houses in our nice neighborhood? Right? This ain't the people that you're concerned about in junk areas and in war zones. This is totally different breed of human beings. These people, they're lease option buyers. Don't ever name the down payment. Don't ever name the monthly payment. Don't ever do that, or you won't get these high payments and these high down payments. Shut up and let them make you an offer. And you know that applies to anything and everything you do inside and outside of real estate. You never know what the market's going to do until the market speaks. You can't second guess it. They don't know it, but they're kind of having a silent auction. And you can use your Roth IRA. You can use your Roth IRA, especially on the lease purchases. Do everything inside your Roth, no taxes. Watch your money grow exponentially because you're not paying taxes on the gain. How do I know it'll work here? Well, do you have any reason to believe it won't? Are there houses where you live? Are there people who want to buy those houses where you live? If the answer is yes, they'll work here. There's no place that doesn't work. Right? You know, I've been to a lot of different markets. Some of them high price, some of them low price. Doesn't matter. There's always going on between buyers and sellers. And some people ask me, what's the best place to do this in the country? And I say, where you live. Can't do it where you live. You won't do it anywhere else either. I haven't seen a city yet where it won't work. So no matter what you do in life, others are going to try to steal your dreams, and you better be careful, friends, because that's exactly what's going to happen. That won't work here. That's a scam. Real estate's down right now. Blah, 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 blah. Now, make yourself a note. Next time somebody wants to tell you that, ask them, are they doing any real estate? And the answer will be no. Okay. And even if it's yes, they're not doing real estate. They're just trying to steal your dreams. Unknowingly or knowingly, you know, they might tell you, well, I'm just trying to help. All right, thank you for the information. Get out of here, go away. Leave me alone. Now, when you start getting your checks, that's the fun part. You make copies of your checks, and you always keep one on you. We call them the shut up checks. Somebody wants to get in your face and tell you why it won't work here. Hold out that check. Shut up. Go away. You don't know anything. Be careful to whom you listen. And I mean, I don't care if they have initials after their name or not. That does not make them qualified to give you advice on something they know little or nothing about. You're not going to get advice from your CPA on how to make money. How would he know? If he knew how to make money, he wouldn't be doing the CPA stuff. You're not going to get advice from your doctor or even your lawyer. If your lawyer knew how to do what we do, he probably wouldn't be a lawyer anymore, because there's 10 times more money in this than any lawyer is going to make. Broke people can't teach you how to get rich, but they all have an endless supply of knowledge, don't they? Advice anyway. It's worth what it costs, nothing. So here's your chance right now. I'm going to give you a chance to get into Planet Ron very, very inexpensively and give you all the tools you need to go out and do terms deals, both buying and leasing with an option to buy. All right. Down to, I mean, you get everything you need in this system to go out and do it. How to generate leads. Remember, you got to do that first. How to get sellers to make you an offer. The scripts in there, how to handle yourself on the telephone, and don't blow away good deals because you didn't know how to handle some situation, or you didn't know, or you didn't even know what the answer was to something that the seller asked you. Don't worry about it. That's one of my scripts. One of my 14 mistakes people make. I show you how to counter that one quickly and get them right back into the conversation. You're gonna then, you know, we're gonna get to, why don't you, let's see what I work on getting your first one first, and then we work on maybe getting to the next one and the next one. And by the time you get to that third one, you got this thing nailed pretty much. And frankly, you won't need anybody else even to help you. But we're going to be helping you here. And today I'm going to give you a chance to get in. It's not going to tell you everything you need to know about everything we do, but it's going to give you enough to get out there and make some money in a terms business and build your own empire and build residual income, you know, that lasts for years and years and years. Create a flock. In fact, I want you to get out there and buy as many houses as you can as fast as you can go without guaranteeing debt. Without guaranteeing debt. Okay? So there's nothing stopping you from buying those. There's no application. There's nobody to apply to. The only signature you need is the seller's. Okay? It's called residual income, and you're building your entire wealth. All the time you're building your residual income, you're building all those other goodies. Debt pay down, appreciation, depreciation. And then here's a business within the business that Al and I were discussing the other day that brings me back to the 2009, 2008. Our values dropped 40% here in Florida. Took years for them to come back. Well, they did with a vengeance. But here's what I learned during that process. Now, friends, this literally is a business in a business because you're targeting one kind of property, and that's low equity deals. Low equity means they don't have much equity. A lot of them are VA loans. They bought them with nothing down, and the only equity they got is what they've gained in the last 2 or 3 years. In fact, take a picture of this one right here. We have a thing called Dreams Pro AI. Dreams Pro AI is your operating system, and within it, you can pull a mailing list of sellers with different motivations. Those motivations are right in front of you. In other words, see what a circle is. We can pull a list of houses that have low equity in them, means the seller hasn't been in them the buyer hasn't been in them more than maybe 1 to 3 years. But most of them are highly financed, very little equity in them. They have some. And problem today is with the interest rates, we're going to have higher payments. On the other hand, that higher payment can usually be matched with a tenant buyer. But even if it can't, the worst case is you take a short-term negative cash flow in order to get these beautiful homes in these beautiful neighborhoods. And I want you to go out and get all the non-recourse debt you can get. Millions of dollars worth of non-recourse debt. Recourse means you're not liable for it. You're not guaranteeing the debt. And when you buy a house with non-recourse debt, I mean, I hesitate to tell you this because people take it the wrong way sometimes, but the worst that can happen to you is you lose the house. They can't get your credit. They can't come after you for money because you didn't guarantee any debt. So the worst can happen is you lose the house. Give it back to the seller if it don't work out. So quit worrying about what if I don't pay it off by that 5 years. What if? You just call the seller and say, here's the deal. You got a couple of choices. Do you want it back or you want to extend the term? Huh? Which one do you think they're going to want to do? So anyway, low equity is what I'm talking about right now. So that's the one that I want to focus on. You can pull up a list of low equity houses, any area you want to pull them up in, any price range you want to pull them up in, minimum bedrooms and minimum bathrooms and all of that, and produce a list where you live of only low-end houses or low equity houses. Sorry. These houses are usually almost always above the median price house where you live. And again, they're not very old, and that means they're in excellent condition. Now you do a postcard, our Dreams Pro AI. In fact, write that down, dreamspro.ai. Go check it out for yourself. They got mailing pieces you can mail. And I think they're working on actually use your mailing piece if you want them to. They can mail it cheaper than you can mail it. Some cases they can mail it cheaper than you can buy a stamp for. So it's all hands off. All right. You pick your list and you decide you want to mail to that list, and you can put 5 different mail pieces, 5 different things you can do to keep on top of them until they respond to you. I'm telling you what, that's going to change your business right there. Is help you find help you target people that are exactly what you're looking for, if you're looking for what I'm talking about right now. So I'm going to say it again. You might have a negative cash flow. Let me get to it when I get to it. Sorry. There they are. Newer houses, excellent condition, small equity, extremely motivated sellers. Hey, Adel, come here and grab a mic and tell them what extremely motivated sellers means. Okay. Fact. Remember that house? He was one of them.
Yes, sir. Really motivated. So these low equity ones, these sellers are basically begging you to take the house. I mean, they just want out. They want you to cover the payment. They made a mistake, or they have to relocate, or whatever the case may be. And I mean, they text you, they let you in the house, do showings. I had one that was living in the house last year. She was texting me daily. Did you find someone? Did you find someone? I said, geez, I just got the contract last night.
Yeah. All right. So they once they get a hold of you and you're going to come out and look at the house, they're begging you to get out and look at the house. What are you waiting on? And they'll do pretty much anything you ask them to do.
Yep.
Because they got a problem. They know if they don't do something, they're going to go into foreclosure.
Yep.
Can you imagine how many foreclosures I've saved over my lifetimes? I can't even imagine. So that's why I'm telling you might want to target this. Now, again, you might have a negative cash flow. So if that's going to ruin your life, then you don't want to do this low equity stuff. But I can tell you this, there ain't no other investors that you're going to meet that are out there looking for them, are there?
Nope.
They ain't touching these with a 10-foot pole because they don't understand why they want them. Now, I don't know. Let's say, well, this house is one of them, okay? But let's just, well, I'm going to show you what this house has produced for me first, and then I'll come back to this, Adel. So thank you very much,
Yes,
sir. I didn't want him to hear right from the horse's mouth. All right. I remember I bought it for $351 by just taking over that debt. All right. Seller got nothing. I put them in it. I got $50,000 non-refundable deposit. And I got $2,500 a month rent. My payment was outgoing was $1,925, and I leased it to them for 2 years. Now, I just made 50 grand. I made 50 grand plus I make $575 a month. Can I spend it? I already told you, yeah, you can spend it. Spend on anything you want to spend it on. Nobody can tell you not to spend it. Go buy pot with it. Doesn't matter what you use it for. Go on vacation. So you don't have to bring the 50 grand is your money. You don't have to bring any of it to closing. Of course, I say bring to closing. There is no table with people around it anymore. It's all done virtually anyway. So anyway, the money stays in your pocket. $575 a month, that's called residual income. And when you get cashed out, you get the back end. You remember what the back end was? That house, that one house has generated, well, I think I got it coming up. I better shut up. How long does it take to get cashed out? Never, I hope. I hope you die with this house because it's going to produce income for your family then. So here's what I'd have lost if I'd have sold that house to that tenant buyer back then. Okay. Bought it for $351. Today it's worth $707. That house has doubled in price since I bought it in the last 11 years. Okay. Appreciated $356,000 that I didn't do anything to earn. collect rent, make payment. And I didn't even do that. I got people for that. Net cash flow, $61,000 over that 11-year period. And tax savings. Now think about this. Let's just say I had a $200 a month negative cash flow on this house. Okay. Look at my depreciation. My depreciation was $8,900 a year. And even if I'm in a 25% tax bracket, my depreciation alone will cover that loss. So don't let a little negative cash flow keep you from making a decision based on short-term issues that's worrying you. So look at my debt pay down, $97,000 debt pay down during that period of time. Free money, plus the deposit, plus all these other goodies. Now, look at my gain on that house in my 11-year period, $595,000. No, I haven't sold a house, so I haven't pocketed all that money yet. But what are we forgetting in this scenario right here? We're forgetting the $50,000 I got up front. So $645,000 that house has made me since I bought it, and I still own the house. The goose is still laying the golden eggs. Told you that. So if you have a negative, we just went through that. And I know, are you nuts, Ron? You want me to take a negative cash flow? No, I don't want you to. I don't want you to at all. But I don't want you to lose a very, very good deal on a beautiful house just because you got a little negative cash flow. The house you're already going to make it up with other goodies that you got. In fact, don't forget that big deposit you get. You could set some of this aside if you wanted to. I shoot for at least $300 to $500 a month on the spread on most of the houses, which, but sometimes they're way bigger than that. Sometimes they're smaller than that. Sometimes they're nothing, like I just described. Doesn't take many of these deals, folks, and you're out of a job. It really doesn't. So you want to learn more? Here you go. I got a system for you. It's called a term system. It's the best I could think of. All right. It's got all these goodies in it for you. The agreements are in there, filled out, blank. All the scripts are in there. I do a class on agreements in there. Automated selling system. And it comes with a systems manual. It's all delivered to you virtually. And there's about 14 hours of training. And it comes with a 90-day helpline. If you need help, just pick up a phone call. And there's somebody there every single weekday to answer your questions for you. I spent about 2 hours on structuring deals from the desk. We put people out in the hallway calling the leads on my boot camp and getting them on the phone and filling out the sheet and all that. And when we get some that makes sense and we're going to move forward with it, and we've already got the sellers okay to come out and look at the house, I discussed those in class, and that's what I did in this. How are we going to make money in this and so forth. Very educational. And I got an hour on just calling sellers. You listen to me calling sellers. It's all digital. It used to be on CDs, but we couldn't figure out how to plug them into our telephone, so we had to go digital. I'm going to include a certificate for you. If you want to use it to upgrade to my 4-day quick start school, which I do once a month, that certificate gets you $500 off of that. You get all the info on it. All this is tax deductible. Everything you spend has to do anything with this business is tax deductible. 90-day helpline, I just told you that. That's a $500 value right there. Got checklists in there. I'm a checklist freak. Checklist for when you're buying, checklist when you're selling. Here's my things I got to do. Here's the forms I got to have in my file on all types of properties. This course was $1,197, sold a ton of them for that, actually. But your cost, hold your breath, here we go, is only $495 for this system. Right, Ron, that's cheap. Yes, it is cheap. That's the cheapest I ever sold it. I promise you that. But Ron, I can get real estate training cheaper than you. You're high price. No, I'm not. I'm not really high price. And first of all, you better be careful where you get that real estate training from. So I've been at this for 44 years. You've been at, anybody know anybody who's been at it that long? And you got to learn something in 44 years. And I've been teaching for 37 years and helping people all that time, all those thousands of folks get more out of life. because I make this simple. I put it in a system that anybody could follow. You see when you get these things, and all the tools that you need to do it with, and then you can pick up the phone if you need help, for crying out loud. I'm not sure I know what else I can do for you, especially for $495. I teach the teachers. I really do. Years ago, I started teaching other people how to be teachers in this business, and I can give you a list of names that are out there right now that they have built a business after their real estate business. They learn, they nail it. Now they go out and build a training business. And more power to them. And because I've made more millionaires than all those people out there combined have made, I can promise you that. And that's largely due because I've been around so long. But again, you're not going to write checks, so there's nothing to be afraid of. You're not going to guarantee any debt. You're not going to borrow any money in terms business. And you're not going to make any promises you can't keep. And attorneys are going to close for you. So what would concern you? Why wouldn't you take me up on this one-time offer? I don't know, because you got 30 days to reverse that decision and get back all your money if you want to. But Ron, I got enough to do. I understand. That's why I'm trying to train you to do less and make more. Less I make, the more I make. Get rid of some of the stuff you do. And I'll bet you that if you actually make a list of what you do in any given day, that you could look at about 90% of that list and toss it out because you shouldn't even be doing it. You should delegate it to somebody else. So along the way on Planet Ron, you're going to learn how to get your life back and have very, very little to do by using the systems so that you can do some other things in life that you've been putting off. Once you get the nut cracked on this and the income starts coming in, especially with those people, you got tenant buyers in those houses, it comes in every month. You don't have to do a thing to get it. Okay. And then everything else you do is, like wholesale deals, that's income you can add to it. But it's not the residual income you look. So you can quit working. You need a retirement. Don't have enough retirement. Afraid the money's going to run out before the month does. Well, let me help you build a retirement. I get it. I want a big cash flow when I retire, and I want some money in the bank. So do you. And if you have enough to do now, I want to ask yourself, well, what's it making you? Or is your income now where you want it to be? And if it isn't, maybe you got to stop doing a few things that you do and start doing something that you can get wealthy with. I learned this from Bestline. If you ever want to get rich, you got to first put yourself in a position to do so. Is what you're doing, can it make you rich? If not, you might want to consider doing something better to make you rich. Real estate can make you rich very, very quickly. You spend all your time chasing the buck or enjoying life and family while you can. I got to tell you, one of the biggest mistakes that I made when I was coming up, I spent all my time chasing the buck. Didn't have a lot of time for that family. And as I grow older, I'm looking back and, I wished it would have been different back then. There's a toll on your health and relationships affected by poor cash flow. And when you think about it, aren't most divorces because of poor cash flow? And cash flow can cure problems that lack of money create. So what are you doing now to make 20 grand? How much time do you invest in it? Is it a golden goose or a golden turd? Ron, I need to think about this a while. Really? What do you need to think about? I just told you can have all your money back within 30 days. I told you we're going to put you out there without doing stupid stuff and risking and guaranteeing debt and all that stuff. What do you want to think about? There's nothing to think about. You don't have anything to think about until you get the course so you can have something to think about. Makes sense to me. There's no risk on your part whatsoever. And what's it going to be like in the real world of business when you have to make decisions? You can't just think about them. You're going to be a bottleneck. Your business is not going to, people around you are not going to want to work with you because you can't make a decision. Can't steal in slow motion. So if not now, when? I think you and I both know the answer. Probably never. Only when the student is ready. Again, we don't guarantee debt. We don't write big checks. We don't make promises we can't keep. And we close with attorneys. No risk. Most of the work is done for you. So you work less, not more. Because I'm telling you the truth, Adel don't work more than just a few hours a week. And he runs my whole business. And frankly, I don't even work that. I'm lucky to put in an hour or two a week. So you can get cash flow. you can get wealth, you can get retirement all at the same time while creating financial freedom. And who knows where you're going to go from there? Maybe one day you're going to want to teach. I'll be here when you get ready. I'm going to level with you. I'm going to tell you why I'm giving you this offer today. By the way, I'm going to save you $1,000 off of that one course because actually that's not true. It was $11.97, whatever the difference is. Incidentally, I'm going to suggest that you get on the telephone down there or go to that site and start filling out the form because I got a really nice surprise for you when we get to the end of this thing, and we're not far from it right now. And I'm only going to do it for the first 10 people who register. There's your recap. Save you about $2,000 in savings. All them bonuses that I gave you. And I'm not through with those yet. We still got another one for you. And we're going to email you a link tomorrow. What is today? Thursday. You'll get the link tomorrow. Now, if you call on the voicemail and you can't get through, just leave a message. Sit there, sit back a little while, and we'll get back to you this evening yet. And there's your website, termsspecial.com. You can do it online if you'd rather do that and get it. And then I can put you up here on my wall when you come down to see me here in Jacksonville, Florida for some events. These are letters I got all over the building from students. There's $40,000 on a front end terms deal in Texas. Here's one in, I can't read, Illinois, I think. 38.5 was a terms deal. Got it up front. North Carolina, $42,000 up front on a non-refundable deposit. Arizona, or I can't read it, John. Can you blow it up a little bit? Washington.
That's Tacoma, Washington.
Okay, it's Washington. $43,000 on that one. This guy was an NFL player and made $32,000 on his first deal.
Not only an NFL player, he is a Super Bowl champion.
Really?
With the Green Bay Packers. Yes.
I didn't know that. What year was that?
Don't quiz me on that. 10 years ago, I think.
All right. Next year, Jacksonville Jaguars is going to be a Super Bowl champion.
Correct.
I don't want to hear it. Okay. Now, I put this one in here just so you can see. I teach commercial as well. And here's a young man that came to my commercial boot camp. And a few years later, he sent me this, said he's over $80 million in commercial real estate right now that he owns. He sent me another letter since. He's over $100 million right now. So, you know, all it takes is a turning point in one's life. Something's got to launch your desire to go out there and make a lot of money for yourself and your family. And, you know, mine was, couldn't even buy my wife a washing machine. I don't know whatever yours is, but you got to start somewhere. And this is a very inexpensive place for you to start. I'll tell you that right now. Come down to us and you'll see you all over the walls, all over the building. And your checks. I mean, never get tired of them. They're all throughout all this building. Now, I'm going to give you one last thing here before I leave you. If you make a decision right now, get on the phone or get on that website, I'm going to give you my complete wholesaling system absolutely free. And today, you spend $4.95, I'm going to give you $5.99 right back just in the wholesale system. Because I said the first thing, the fastest way to get a check is probably going to wholesale a house. So a junker. So you focus on the junkers. You put them under contract, sell the contract, and you get a check. It's so simple. I mean, a sixth grader could do a wholesale deal. Right? I'm going to get you that as well. So you got plenty to do right there. I got another one on rehabbing and retailing, but you're not ready for that yet. I'll give you this one if you buy the other one at a third of what it normally sells for. So come to Papa. Come to Planet Ron. Glad to have you. And I promise you we'll grow together. And see that there's a big difference between the way I do real estate and the way some of the gurus or nurus do it on the web. So give me a chance and I'll prove it to you. All right, John, do we have questions?
All right, Ron, we are here live. It is April 23rd, 2026. It's almost 1:30 p.m. Eastern time. Ron LeGrand is here to take your questions live. A bunch of you have typed in a bunch of questions. If anybody wants to come on and use your webcam and talk to Ron live in person, just type live there in the chat and I will invite you to join. We've got Dustin, who wrote a nice note. He's doing good in his business, and I invited him on, so let's bring him on. I wanted him to talk to you about his business here.
Okay. By the way, I'm real. I'm not a bot. Just so you'll know. Justin,
First
what's
off
up?
there, Ron. Just want to say
Justin.
ultimate gratitude. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, barely. Can you turn it up just a hair, John?
Yeah, I'll turn it up.
All right. Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, so I just want to say ultimate gratitude, Ron. I mean, I carry your Bible with me everywhere.
What? That's an old book.
I was flipping homes. I was in construction, and I got into a lot of seller finance. And then, unfortunately, you know, telling people you can buy houses with no money, they think you're crazy.
Yeah.
And I studied it for about 12 years. And, you know, I finally figured out how to piece that last little bit together and figured out the mortgages and the money. And I just started flipping homes and doing a lot of seller finance. And, you know, they think I'm crazy up here, but I get the properties for $1 down in 30-year terms.
There you go.
You know,
So maybe you are
back to
crazy.
what you said, Ron, is, you know, don't leave too early. I went through a separation on this. I lived in my car flipping homes, but I made it work.
So where you live now?
I live up in Calgary, Alberta, up in Canada here.
Oh, yeah, okay. I haven't been up there in quite a while. Biggest boot camp I ever had was in Calgary, 460 people, as I recall, in a boot camp.
Nice.
That was 2008. All right, so you're still doing it?
I'm full-time in it. I run a whole team. I'm all across Canada. I'm looking to expand in the US. On top of that, I run actually one of the largest tenant buyer companies in Canada because I needed buyers for all my properties. And it allows me to pick and choose. And, you know, what you realize is people get caught up in the exit when they need to be caught up in the deal, and all good deals will always have a good exit.
Yeah, or one or two or three, yeah. In fact, now that you mentioned that, I'm selling a house next week. I'm closing on the sale of it that I got with nothing down and no personal liability. And it closes. It took a little while, like because this house dropped from $525,000 appraisal to a $440,000 sales price.
Love it.
That's what's going on here. Yeah.
OPM,
So,
right?
yeah. And you know, I didn't make much money on it, but I learned not to go back into that neighborhood. I'll tell you that, so, because of the neighborhood. All right. Well, good to hear from you again. Are you you're still doing real estate, but what kind are you doing? Mostly terms? Or are you doing some wholesaling? What are you doing?
So I rarely do terms, just for the fact is it's sometimes hard to chase construction crews and whatnot. For myself, I'm all about terms. I mean, if I can get that $1 down in, you know, the longest term possible, that's what I go for.
Okay, you just said you're not doing terms. Now you are doing terms, right? I didn't think you meant that.
You're sorry about that. No. I always do terms. Terms it's in my bloodline.
Yeah, I got it. Rehabs. This is a rehab that I just sold, and I'm telling you, I'm not interested in doing any of those for a while anyway. Well, good on you, man. Good to hear from you again. Wouldn't hurt this. It wouldn't hurt if you send me a letter with a check or two on it. Let me hear your progress.
I'd love to show you there, Ron. I mean, you know, I've always wanted to meet you, and I've always wanted to show that your teachings mean a lot. I'm a guy that I tell everybody I fail faster than anybody. So by the time somebody takes the action, I've already done it 10 times.
Well, there you go. Now, when you get in the middle of winter up there, it's a good time to come down here and see me in Florida.
I will definitely love to come meet you there, Ron, and show you what I got going on and, you know, meet the Godfather, truly.
You got some hellacious winters up there, too. I remember going there one time. It was 40 below zero, and I didn't know how people lived in that temperature, I swear. Wasn't for this Florida boy that much. Anyway, good to hear from you again. Stay in touch.
Awesome.
Right.
Thanks, Ron.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dustin, for joining us. We got a couple more people wanting to talk to you live. We got up next, Robert. Hello, Robert.
Hey, Robert.
Hey, Ron, how are you?
Oh, good. Where are you at?
Oh, for whatever reason, I can't hear Ron right now.
Can't hear me at all? It's got to be yours because I was just talking to Dustin.
I heard it right before speaking, but I can't hear you now, Ron.
Testing. Can't hear me now? All right.
All right, Robert, we'll put you on hold. Let's see if we can figure out what's going on. I've got Lori here. I think it's pronounced Lori. Lori, are you here?
It's Laree.
Lori, okay.
Yes, and the reason I have all these questions, my apology for arriving late. I got involved in other things, and the time got away from me. But anyway, to make the long story short, I joined the Fox couple or something rather, and I got a bunch of literature from them, and the most of the literature was from Ron. So is that still current? Their support was pretty bad. And I just sort of like left it. I mean, it's just like jumping from thing to thing to thing to thing to thing.
There you are. Did you say the Wolf couple?
The Wolf? I couldn't remember the name of it.
I haven't I haven't worked with them in several years now, so most of that information has been updated since then for sure.
Okay.
I'm sure what's in there still works, but I would say it probably needs updated.
Okay, so when was the last time you updated it? I mean, I spent quite a bit of money. Every time I turn around, it's a cha-ching, 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 and no results.
What have you got?
I don't know. I just moved, so I can't tell you that.
Have you ever been to the boot camp?
No, that was never invited. There was never a boot camp. There was all recordings and
Do you have my information or just theirs?
I think I only have theirs, and I've just been receiving your emails. That's about it.
Well, I think you just answered my question. Their information has nothing to do with my information. It's one reason we parted company. So you need to go take a look at what we're offering. In fact, the terms course that I just offered you is your best bet because it's half price right now. And I understand every time you look at a guru, they want money. I get all of that. That's the way it is in my world too. But the truth is, if you're going to do anything with this business, you're going to have to spend you're going to spend more money on training than you are doing the business. That I can promise you, because it's so automated today. Almost everything is done for you for very small amounts of money, including taking phone calls. VAs call your leads for you and fill out the sheets. Selling houses you don't even leave your desk to do. I mean, well, somebody's got to put a lockbox on it, but it's a lot different than it was just even a few years ago, especially with AI. AI changes everything. So yeah, you need to first get trained and you're going to be updated. You asked me how long do I update my boot camp? I'll answer that. I'll answer that. I just got through with it today. Again, that's what it looks like. That's the manual. I change it almost every event to make sure that it's updated. By the way, you can get this book on Amazon. It's called How to Be a Quick Turn Real Estate Entrepreneur in Any Economy.
Okay.
I think it's what, $14.95, I think. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But that's a seminar and a book right there.
Okay, that'd be great to do. Now, this is strictly for wholesaling. Is that what I'm understanding?
No way.
No.
I teach it all. Wholesaling, rehabbing, and the terms business.
I don't want to get into rehabbing.
I don't blame you. Okay. I don't want to rehab right now either. But the wholesaling and the terms business go well together. Get checks out of the wholesaling. You get wealth out of the terms, as well as checks now, checks monthly, checks later, and other benefits like debt pay down. In fact, if you just saw the house that I put up there, did you see all the benefits of that house that you saw down the lower left-hand corner? That house made me over $650,000 in the 9 years that I calculated it. And now it's been 12 years and it's up to $880,000. I just renewed it the other day. Just one house. Wow. It hasn't made me it, but it's sitting there. If I sell a house, that's what I'll ultimately make on it. So you don't need very many of them. And, you got your cash flow fixed and you got your retirement fixed, especially if you do them in a non-taxable account, which you can.
Okay.
Oh.
Is there a website that I can actually review all your data and what you have to offer and
Go to ronlegrand.com.
okay.
And then, there's several other websites with particular products on them. The boot camp that you need to get to is ronlegrand.com/QS, I think, quick start. But if you should start with this course you were offered today, because you're never going to get it at that price again. That course sells for $11.97 by itself. So, and you got a guarantee on it. You got 30 days. You don't like it, send it back. You don't think it's for you. But you got to start somewhere, and you better to start with the right information, because there is so much junk out there on the internet right now. It scares me. Some of those folks are teaching stuff that's illegal, and they don't even know it's illegal.
Okay. So with the foreclosures and everything, does that talk about the foreclosures that are really kicking in? There's a lot of foreclosures.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people chasing them too.
Right.
Yeah. No harm in chasing them, but you got to know your competition's fierce on the foreclosures, because they're easy to find. The easier they are to find, the better deal you're going to get.
Now, what do you call
I'm sorry, the easier to find, the worse deal you're going to get. The harder they are to find, the better deal you're going to get.
So what do you teach? Is this a wholesale, or what is this that you're
I
teaching?
teach you how to buy and sell houses without using your money or credit.
Well,
and
I
that
like that.
encompasses all of it.
Okay, and this is in any state, right?
Any state. And Canada.
And Canada.
Mhm.
Well, all right then. So let's see, what else, other questions do I have?
All right.
Because I've tried so many things, and it's like, they promise you the moon and deliver nothing.
Yeah, well, I understand that, but you need to ask yourself honestly, am I doing what I am supposed to do? And is it my fault or their fault? And I would imagine there's a little of both going on there, to be honest with you. So my systems have been proven many, 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 many times over the years. I've been teaching for 37 years. Can you imagine even still being around if my system was not working for all these people that you hear from?
Yeah.
All right.
All
Let's
right.
get some more questions on here if we can.
Yes.
All right, Lori,
Thank
thank you. We got to move on. We've got Michael is here, wanting to talk to you.
Hello?
Hey, Mike, where are you from?
Hello?
Where do you live? Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you,
Hello?
but apparently you can't hear me.
Michael, you can't hear
Hey,
us?
my mic was working, but now I can't hear anything.
All right. Let's see if we can come back to Michael
Hello?
in a minute. We're going to try Robert again, hopefully.
Mhm.
Robert, I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear us this time? No?
Hey, Robert.
All right.
Apparently
We're
not.
having technical problems. Well, let's go to the questions that people typed in. We got a few
I
here.
think that we've just established their technical problem, not ours. 'Cause if we can hear one, we could hear them all. If it was our problem, we couldn't.
I think so. I hope so.
Yeah.
All right. So we had Angela said, what was the name of that credit score fix company?
ScreenTheTenant.com. They fix your credit, but I also use them to get me the front end information on people I put in the house on a lease purchase. In other words, they screen them for me, and it's cost $50. And I learned everything I need to know to make the decision whether I want to put them in there or not. And the truth is, most of that decision is made by the amount of money they have to put down. That's my insurance policy. But I still want to know what I'm dealing with. I can't ever remember anybody being turned down if they got a bunch of money, because that cures a lot of bad stuff. In fact, most of the people I put in the houses have poor credit, or they have bad debt ratio. They got some kind of issue where they wouldn't even come. They go to a bank, so they can't qualify. That's that whole industry out there is ours. 70% of the people can't qualify. That's a lot of folks right there. So selling your houses, which is bad term, actually lease optioning your houses, because you're not selling them, is easy because you got so many people to choose from. So we give it a little bit of time and pick the one that can give us the most money. And if you'll recall, we don't name the down payment ever. Never name the down payment. Never name the monthly payment. We ask them, what's the most you can put down? Oh, is that the best you can do? What's the most you can pay per month? Wow. We got to get it up from there. In other words, we tell people, we answer their questions with questions. So we ask questions and we answer their answers with questions. That's one of the things you learn at the Quick Start Real Estate School. And frankly, when you internalize that, it's going to change your whole life, because it'll change all your conversations online and offline going forward for about anything and everything you deal with in life. Just shut up and never tell somebody what you're going to pay till they tell you what you want, going in and going out. So there's only really two things you have to really master. Number one, you got to generate leads. I'm going to give you way more than you can do on that one. Number two, you got to be able to master that closing call. I put 2 scripts in front of you. All you got to do is read them, all right, and take the action that's on the scripts and move to an appointment. So, I can't make it any easier unless I go to the house for you and get the contract signed. I'm working on that. I'm waiting for Elon Musk to give us a robot that we can use to do that. Just kidding. He might.
All right. John says, what attorney's costs should be expected in the terms business, and where do you find attorneys?
Okay. The attorney that you're looking for is a real estate closing attorney, not a litigation attorney, not any other kind of attorney, not a divorce attorney. Using a divorce attorney, you might wind up needing a divorce. It's a real estate closing attorney. They're in every city. Okay. They're paid in hundreds, not thousands of dollars. When I'm buying a property, most of the time the seller gets little or no money, and I pay the closing cost. Now that's going to vary in every single state. Okay. Some states there's almost none, like Texas and Arizona and a few others. Some states they're very, very high, like Maryland and New York and New Jersey. So if they're so high in those states, maybe you can revert to a lease purchase. Then you lease the house with an option to buy. There are no closing costs because there is no technical closing. And then when you sell, meaning when you put a lease option tenant buyer in the house, they pay the closing cost at the time they want to go get a loan and get approved for it. They pay them. But the truth is, when you lease option houses, folks, I hope you understand this clearly. And very rarely does any of them get to the point to where they actually buy your house. So if you're putting a tenant buyer in the house to try to cash out of the house, not the right move. I don't want to cash out of the house. I want the golden goose to keep laying golden eggs long time in the future, like the one I showed you a while ago. I've had that thing for 12 years now. 12 years. All right. That one house is going to be make me $1 million on that one house, and maybe more. In fact, I might die with that house. I don't care, because the golden goose keeps laying the golden eggs. And you need a handful of those. You don't have to worry about income anymore. You quit your job, do whatever you want to do. And boy, I've seen quite a few people do that. So this real estate thing is what you want it to be. But, flipping is great to get a check. Wholesaling, rehabbing, and retailing. But you get one check. Then what? You got to go out and do it all over again. Okay. You got to get up and it's like a job, except you're the boss. There's no residual income. There's no back end. There's just that one check. And the government gets a great big chunk of that. So I'm not opposed to those, because I know you can do those in your IRA and not give the government a cent. You can do those tax free. But that's those kind of deals. But now I want the residual income that's coming out of the terms deals as well. So I want it all. We generate leads. Some of them are going to need rehab. Some of them are going to be in excellent condition. So you've got to learn to deal with whatever comes at you instead of throwing away deals because you didn't take time to learn enough about the business.
All right. I'm going to see if we can go back to Michael. Michael, let's hope you got your audio issues fixed. Can you hear us now?
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
Great.
Oh, good.
Can you hear me?
All right, Michael.
Okay, I just have one question. I know your time's valuable. The one reserve that I have getting into it is, my concern is if I go into terms and I take over the payments of someone's house, if I don't have cash reserves, how do I guarantee that the first couple of months of payments while I'm finding
Okay.
a tenant buyer?
That's a good question. And you don't make the payments the first 2 months, because when I buy a house, I don't make the payment until the third month after closing or vacating, whichever comes the latter of which of those three. To buy is time, plenty of time.
Okay.
Put a lease option tenant buy. That's one clause in the contract. That's all that is. And your payment's due 3 months later. And I can't remember last time I didn't get that from the seller. And frankly, it's not a request on my part. It's a condition of my purchase. All right. Get to the boot camp as fast as you can. And you got all that stuff right in this manuals, all your scripts and all your cool clauses that I've created over the 45 years. I'm actually in year 45 now. I went to my first boot camp. My first seminar, March 12th, 1982. I think that makes me in my 45th year, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know, one of them. So what you're saying is you're scared of having to make a payment that you can't make. Don't worry about it. For one thing, you're never going to guarantee any debt, and that means you're not going to guarantee any lease purchase either. Now, after saying that, what's the worst that can happen, Mike? The worst that can happen. You get to a point where you're supposed to put up money and you don't have the money. The worst can happen is the seller's got to make a choice. Do you want the house back, or do you want me to change this thing accordingly? The truth is, if you haven't got a buyer in there by the third month to give you a big down payment and the first month's payment, you probably don't want to go any further with it anyway, unless you can pinpoint the fact that it's your fault, it's not leased. If there's something maybe you should have done you didn't do, but that's going to be rare. It's going to be rare unless you're in a war zone. Now you got to be careful with those.
That clause answers everything. I didn't realize that was an option.
Better ask yourself, what happens if I don't do this?
Yes, sir. Well, thank you. I greatly appreciate that. I didn't know that was an option.
It's an option. In my world, we don't take risk. We don't take risk.
I like
we don't
that.
guarantee debts. We don't see. You're never going to guarantee anything personally, Mike. Never. Nothing's ever going to show on your credit report, because non-recourse debt doesn't show in your credit report. It's not your debt. And when you get that in your head and you understand, the worst can happen is the whole world caves in and then somebody takes the house back. All right, that's the worst can happen. It ain't going to affect you. And so you can give.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you, Michael, for joining us.
Good question.
All right, Ron, I've got a ton of questions here about VAs and Pat Live and Dreams Pro and the boot camp, and we just don't have time to answer everything today. So I just want to if you guys got questions about those kind of things, call that number on your screen, 800-567-6128. They can go through and explain everything to you.
And on that line, John, we're doing a online training, not next Thursday, but the Thursday after at noon, to go through all of those systems that you're talking about. So you can be clear, because they're all brand new. We've created a heck of a package for you right now where it's all there. You don't have to go out and find anything. We got it all done for you. A lot of years putting the pieces together. As far as the boot camp goes, you can call that number and get the information. It's on half price right now. It's not on half price. It's on a 60% discount right now. So it's never going to get any cheaper. And in fact, I'm doing one next week. And I'll be doing one pretty much every month for the rest of this year here in Jacksonville. Thing about it is, come to think about it, we got one coming up next Tuesday, and it is virtual and live. So I'm going to simulcast it. So you might want to take a look at that one first. Is that the right site, John? ronlegrand.com/QS.
I'll have to check that out and make sure that's still active. Otherwise, they can call that number and get signed up.
Yeah, it's not hard to find. This is where your basic training is, 4 days with me.
Yeah, that site is still active if you want to go there. Otherwise, call the number and they'll figure everything out with you. We got a question from T. Is there a payment plan on this $495 term course?
Not on the $495, but there is one on the Quick Start School. No, we finance it in-house, no credit check.
All right. Calvin says, who is responsible for the property taxes when doing a lease purchase?
The owner of the property is responsible, which would be you. However, when you collect your rent, you're making a payment on the seller's underlying loan, which includes taxes and insurance. So you're never going to get a tax bill, and you're never going to write a check for taxes. You're just collecting it and passing it through. And so the lender can, you're making payments to the lender. When you make that payment, you're paying 1/12 of the taxes every single month.
Okay, we've got next question is Ed says, what list do you recommend that we mail to?
Who you want to mail to get sellers? I hope that's what that means. Adel likes mailing to probates. We've gotten several deals from probates. Also, we like mailing to low equity property owners. Yeah, I talked a little about that earlier. They have very little equity in the house, and the house isn't gorgeous and any more than 1 to 3 years old, and the seller's got to go, and they can't make the payment for whatever reason. There's a ton of them. They'll give the house to you. There's no negotiating. They beg you to buy their house because there's not much equity in it. Downside is the payment's probably going to be high because the interest rates were high when they did the loan. So it all comes down to the math. And it also comes down to your ability to handle it if you have a negative cash flow during the time. I only give them, if I have very little equity in it, I only give them 1 year and tell them, if you haven't cashed me out, then I'm going to raise the payment to cover, at least cover my underlying debt. Now, I keep the property. Again, the only downside is it might be a negative cash flow, but I want you to understand this. When you own the property, you get to depreciate it. Your depreciation alone will probably save you, will probably create as much revenue as it would take to keep you from paying the IRS. In other words, you'll probably get more out of depreciation than your negative on the deal while the seller is going through that first year. And then there's another option with those same deals. I can put them under contract and assign a contract to an owner-occupant couple and pick up a $10,000 check and move on. I'm out of the deal. It's assignment of contract. So that's a whole market within the market. And there's a ton of them out there right now, ton of them. And the good news, they're beautiful when you buy them. They haven't been built very long. Most of them are 1 to 3 years old. And many of them have VA mortgages on them, so they have very little equity. The only equity they have is if the house went up. But even if they're negative. And back in 2009, we had a 40% decline in property values here after September of 08. And a lot of people were overfinanced. That's where I invented this ACTS thing. That's assignment of contracts and terms system. And so we'd go out and lease option them, even though they were overfinanced, and just get 10, 15 grand, put an owner occupant in there, but give them a long-term lease because we got a long-term lease from the seller because there really wasn't any equity in the property. And you don't have any closing costs to buy because you're leasing it with an option to buy, promising them you'll make the payment now 2 or 3 months later. But you better clearly understand your exit now. And, I wouldn't do one of those if I was stone cold broke. And because I tell you what, if you're stone cold broke and you got a payment coming up even in 3 months, yeah, you could lose a lot of sleep because you haven't figured it out yet that, worst can happen to me. I lose the house, seller wants it back, or they extend it and keep making payments. And that is the worst.
All right. Stu says, what lease option agreement do you need in place for California to ensure the tenant buyer does not end up squatting since they gave you a deposit?
That doesn't make sense. If they gave you a deposit, they're not squatting. They gave you the deposit. I don't take less than 5% of the sales price, so that's a lot of money. So I think that question really is irrelevant. It's not going to happen. They're not even going to get the key. They're not going to give you a deposit and then break into the house. That's just not going to happen. I mean, you're making stuff up. Now you do have squatters, but not ones that you just leased it to, not ones you got a big old deposit from. And if you do have squatters, I don't know what your rules are in California. You can always move to Florida because here, if we have a squatter, we just go downtown and show the sheriff that we own the property and they'll come out and kick their butt out of the house. Okay. But in your liberal states, I'm not sure what you got to go through. So anyway, that's a whole discussion for another time.
All right. Question from Eric. Homes with HOA, do you pay it monthly or wait until later?
You don't wait till later, and you don't let the tenant pay it. No way. You collect it from the tenant, and then you pay it however increment they want you to pay it, monthly or quarterly or whatever they want, because that is not in your payment. So you do have to pay that on top of the payment, and therefore, well, you do if you don't put it on the seller to pay it. Okay? Sometimes you put it on the seller to pay it along with their, the seller will pay it and you'll send them the money to pay it with, most likely. But any way you handle it, you're going to wind up paying it. Pay it monthly, and you won't get behind on it. Just don't let anybody else pay it for you now. Maybe except the seller. I don't mind the seller paying it because it's their name on that loan. Never worry about a seller taking advantage of me and not doing this kind of stuff. It's them they're punishing if they do. If they do not make that underlying payment, well, be honest, I don't give them that choice just for that reason. Okay, I insist on making the payment to the bank. I get them; they get agreement on it at closing. I mean, I'm not going to send the check to the seller and hope they make that payment just for that reason, because sometimes people make stupid decisions based on short-term cash flow need. You know, I'm going to use it right now, but I'll put it back here in a little bit. No chance of that. So I learned a long time ago, pay the bank direct. And I know it's paid, and pay the HOA direct. But I make sure I collect enough. Technically, my tenant buyer is going to pay the HOA. Right? But it might be they pay it separately, or it might be I just add it into the rent, which is the simplest way to do it. But they need to know that the HOA and your rent.
All right, Lori, can this business be done remote?
Laureen, almost all of it is already done remote, all over the country. When I'm dealing with a seller in my city, I'm going to go look at the house, or Adel is, I'm not. So I don't want to do a deal without looking at the house or having somebody else look at it in another area and send me videos and pictures of it so that I know what I'm dealing with. And if you don't have somebody in that area, you can just hire a realtor to go take those pictures for you and ask him or her what they think it will sell for and what it needs before it's sold, and pay them a few bucks to make that trip. They'd probably do it free if they think you're going to list it. So somebody, you got to have boots on the ground wherever you buy them, because in the terms business. Now, it's not true in the wholesaling business, really. All your big wholesalers just buy them offline and sell them offline, never touch the house, never touch it. They look at pictures of it to see how ugly it is and make offers accordingly, and they raise those and sell them to somebody who wants to rehab them. And they have nothing to lose. If they don't get it sold, they kill the contractor. If they do get it sold, then they get paid. I know people do 250 wholesale deals a year, but they do them in several states, not all in one city for sure.
Okay, Michael says, how do I get a contract without proof of funds if I'm doing wholesaling?
You don't need proof of funds if you're doing wholesaling or any other purchase, because you're not buying through realtors. Only then do you need proof of funds. And if you did need proof of funds, once you get to the Quick Start School, I'm going to give you a code to go right to one of my sites and fill out the proof of funds for you and print it out. I provide proof of funds, but you do not need them in the terms business, and you do not need them in the wholesale business, okay? Because you're not going to get deals out of the MLS. I'm telling you right now, it's a waste of your time, because there's too many people paying way too much for those properties because they're so easy to find. Your whole business revolves around dealing with FSBOs, dealing with them directly, trying to get them to contact you as much as you can.
Okay, we got a question from Angela. What do you do if the market drops significantly, but your tenant buyer is ready to close?
Well, that's a very good question. I had dealt heavily with that in 2009 and 2010. If that, the properties were so overfinanced that some of them actually wanted to know what would happen. And all I did was get an agreement with the seller that they would participate in a short sale if that were to happen. Any lender is going to accept a short sale when they know the property is not worth as much as is owed on it, because if they don't, they're going to wind up getting the property and they're going to lose their butt on it. All right. At least with a short sale, they got somebody in there making payments on it at a reduced amount. And it's in their best interest, because I'm telling you, banks do not want houses. They do not want houses. They'd rather have COVID than take back a house that somebody's willing to make a payment on. So we deal with that. But the good news is, or the bad news, however you want to frame it, almost never do your lease options go get qualified for a loan and actually come to closing. I mean, it's so rare. And I mean, there's a lot of reasons why. Okay, I'm not taking advantage of anybody. I give them plenty of time to buy. I give them plenty of time to clean up whatever's broke. I'll even help them if they ask, but they don't. All right, they don't. So sooner or later, they just call and say they're moving. All right, that house I showed you earlier, they lived in it 2 years. She called me and told me they were moving in a week. I said, why? I'll extend it for you, no charge. No, we're out. Okay, they left $50,000 behind. Their choice, not my choice. Okay, so we set them up to win, but we can't force them to win because we can't make anybody do anything. And that's the business you're in. If they cash you out, great. So you get a check. Go get another golden goose. If they don't cash you out, great. They're moving out. Go lease purchase it again. Go get another golden goose. That's why I love these lease purchases so much. I've had properties that I actually had 6. I just sold one this past year, had 6 tenants in it. And I forgot how long I owned it. 6 tenants, a little 2-bedroom townhouse kind of thing. 6 tenants gave me more non-refundable option deposits than I paid for the property. Not counting all that rent along that way that I collected. Actually, my IRA collected it. Bought that one in my IRA. All right, John, what's next?
Eric says, can you tell us how you buy on terms if the owner has a VA loan on the home?
Well, the VA loan is not a problem because the VA will not call the loan due. Go to va.gov and read it in there for yourself. They will not call a loan due simply because, unless the payment is not being made, and they won't do it. The bank will call it due. So, the VA doesn't loan any money. Banks loan money. The VA just guarantees the top 20%. That's all. I don't care what kind of loan is underneath it. It ain't going to stop me from buying it. Due on sale clause is not going to affect you and your business. Banks are not going to call a loan due as long as somebody's making payments. Can they? Yeah. Will they? Not. But even if they did, if you listen to me, you're not going to be liable for it because you're not the one that originated the note. And the seller is going to sign at closing what I call a CYA letter saying that they're aware there's a due on sale. And if the seller or the lender would call it due, Ron's not responsible. CYA letter. I've protected you guys every which way but Sunday, if you will listen, which that is a big request, isn't it? Listening.
David said, how can I get the forms to get the owners to grant me the rights to sell their property and sell that to investors?
The owners do not grant you the right to sell the property. They grant you the right to buy the property. And they don't even need to even know about this until closing. So when you get the contract that you're going to buy the property and pay cash for it, now you sell the contract, your buyer comes in and pays the cash, and then you get the difference between what you paid a seller, what you offered a seller and what you're selling. Wholesaling is so simple. There's no closing cost for you because you're not buying the house and you're not selling the house. Okay, you're selling the contract. Whatever closing cost is in that is the ones that the buyer is going to wind up paying. So you're overcomplicating the business. You don't need the seller's permission to do anything except sell you the house at X price. Done. Now, when you get that in writing, you can put it on the market. Do not put it on the market without a contract to buy it. If you do, you're operating as a realtor without a license. You've got to have the right to buy it or the right to lease it with an option to buy. Contract first, then title search, then put it on the market.
Okay, Michael asks, if I do not have money reserves, how am I going to guarantee the ability to make the first few payments while looking for a tenant buyer?
I think I answered that one, didn't I?
I think you might have.
Heck, I think I answered it to Michael. You get I've got a clause that makes you responsible for the payment in the 3rd month after the latter of closing or the house vacated. And I'll tell you right now, if you haven't got somebody in there by then, you're better off not even going forward with a deal. Just cancel the contract. You're going to lease the property in an LLC name, not your name. You lease it in your name, you're personally responsible for those payments. You lease it in an LLC name, the LLC is responsible. Okay? I'm going to teach you the LLC that I'm talking about doesn't own anything, so nobody's going to, the seller ain't going to go sue you anyway. They know they're not going to get anything because you're not responsible for those lease payments. That's why we have LLCs. And boy, it's amazing how many things we can come up with to keep from doing anything. There's no problem in real estate that we can't solve really quick.
All right, a couple more questions, which is good because we're almost out of time here. Stu says, how do you make this lockbox thing work if you do not live locally?
You have to have somebody locally put the lockbox on it for you, obviously. Okay. And frankly, if you call a realtor, they'd probably do it. If not, go on Craigslist and go under gigs and put on there what you want somebody to do and how much you're willing to pay them. Maybe $50 because they ain't worth any much more than that. $100 maybe if they go out and take pictures of the house and videos of the house, and especially on anything that it happens to need. And of course, if that's going to be the case and people living in it, you got to tell the people, I'm just sending somebody out to take pictures now. They don't know anything. If you have any questions, you contact me. And then the lockbox is pretty easy. By the way, I don't even change the combo. I leave it 0, 0, 0, 0. Then I always know the combination. Right.
Okay, I think this is our last question.
All right.
Katura, can you use the same contract that is for buying properties with cash for a terms deal?
The answer is yes, but you fill it out differently, which is part of your training, Quick Start School. There's what it looks like. There's the front page. There's the back page. That's all there is. It's written in layman's terms. Now I want you to note how few of blanks are on that thing, because all you got to do is fill in the appropriate blanks. I teach you this. In fact, that's part of I think that's in the course that I just offered you. In fact, I'm almost sure it is. And we have a closers club thing here you'll learn about. It's $59 a month where all my contracts are. You can fill them out right online or print them out. All my contracts, residential and commercial, United States and Canada.
All right, that was the last question. We gave out earlier the email address ask@ronlegrand.com. If you have any questions, send an email there. Ron actually answers those.
I do.
Of course, call that number on our screen, 800-567-6128. And they can answer any questions about any of our products or courses, including this terms product. And we are done for the day.
Well, I'll remind you before we go now, I'm giving you a wholesale course. I think that's a 2-day course, step by step. But that only comes if you order this thing like right now. Order the terms course. I'm going to give you a wholesaling course, but only if you order it today, not tomorrow. Today. It's a heck of a deal. Okay. Don't worry. You got 30 days to return it, even if there's nothing to return nowadays. It's all a link. So go do yourself a favor and get it. Got to start somewhere. I remember I started March 1982. I saw the ad and I knew it was a scam seminar that evening at the Hilton Hotel. I knew this was a load of crap. You can't buy real estate with no money. Went down there and I sat through it and I was convinced that ain't true. And they put me in a 2-day event where I learned how to go out and get my first deal, which I did in 3 weeks, the little cheap wholesale deal. And I had a major decision to make because my hero, J.R. Ewing, was on a show called Dallas. Okay. You younger folks don't even remember that. He was my hero. He was a very wealthy jerk. Okay. And every Friday night I had to watch, didn't have any VCR at that time to tape it. So I made that decision. How many times do you think I look back and ask myself, what if I had just watched JR that night? I can't calculate that. What would that cost me over all these years? And now think about all of the thousands and thousands of people that I brought into real estate and what would it cost them? And then what would it cost their children? Okay. Because I made a decision not to go. So you got a decision to make right now. I hope you make the right one, but you're not going to get anywhere if you don't plunge in and start where you think you ought to start. What motivates you? I said something today that you believe. You know what? Even if you don't believe it, okay, get the course and learn the inside of it. Learn the steps, and trust me, you're going to hear from a lot of people that have done it. That are going to be hard for you to dispute anymore. Why can't I do it? You can do it. You can do it in any state in the union. However, I can bring you to bear. I can't skin him. That's up to you. Thank you for tuning in. See you later.
Ron's event to me is heads and toes above any other event. He always has good content. He has good speakers that he brings in. He doesn't let just anybody come in and speak. He always has good speakers.
It's great energy. There's a lot of people motivated and a lot of people that are getting motivated. You can just tell by everyone that walks up there and speaks that they're here to help with whatever they can. So it's really exciting.
So the content is a little overwhelming at first when some of the mentors have said to us, be prepared, it's like drinking from a fire hose. They are absolutely right.
It's just chock full of so much great information, first of all. And then just to hear testimonials from others who've been doing it as well.
It's awesome. The amount of information it borders on information overload, but it is so good. Every time you hear it, you just understand it a little better.
So the live on-stage phone calls where all the mentors got up on stage. Each mentor got about 3 chances, or whoever they can get on the phone. And it was raw, uncut, live calls. Like, anything can go.
You actually get to see fellow students work on properties that have the potential for you to purchase and make an incredible profit on.
Ron's an awesome guy. He's got the goods. It's not a flash in the pan kind of event. It's just rock solid meat and potatoes, good stuff all the way through.
He is so matter of fact. His teaching style is very to the point. There's no BS, but you learn really quickly that way.
He's the real deal. He's to the point, and he's been doing it for so long that it's like second nature to him. And if you just listen to what he does and what he says, then you'll do fine.
He seems sincere, he's honest, he's easy to understand. He has a sense of humor, so I enjoy his teaching.
Man, he changed my life, man, just off of the content that I've gotten, just listening to him. And I don't know too many people that can hold you in one place for 12 hours and you still be excited just listening to him.
He tells you exactly what to do, how it is. It's no baloney, I like that.
Everybody is just super nice, super helpful. They want to make sure that you're getting what you're needing.
Anytime we have a question, they're there to answer it.
Everybody's so helpful, and all they want to do is see you succeed, which is very good, and it's obvious too.
This event gives you limitless potential. You owe it to yourself to come and learn what this process is, because it will open your eyes and change your life.
Just do it. Save up the money. And if you're on the fence and this is something that you're interested in and you can see yourself doing, then you're absolutely right. You can absolutely do this business. It'll change your life. I believe it's changed mine.
If you're considering real estate at all, this event, you can get people that will walk beside you and help you become a success in this. 100%. You will do deals with these people.
You're going to make it back in one deal if you're passionate about it and this is what you want to do. To me, it's like a no-brainer,
Just do it. Just do it.